So for the Tri-Rex ruler, you're going to measure, because the finished block, the unfinished measurements is 2.5. So you're going to find your 2.5 inch line. So this will be flat, and that will be flat, and you'll make your cut on each side. Okay. This will be the top. Do not ever rotate it because it won't be in alignment. And then for this, I'm going to pretend like this is a long strip. And I'm going to line up. If this was this ruler, I would line this up at the bottom edge at the 2.5 inch edge, and then the flat spot will be even with the 2.5 inch strip. If it's not even, you did not cut your strip right. Make sure when you're cutting your strips that your line is on the ruler, not beside it, on it. Okay, so I cut this one, I cut this with this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this with this, just so I can show you, because this one's got a tricky cut. And I'm gonna cut that little ear off right there. It's probably time for me to change my rotary blade if you are just starting. Okay, because I mirror image these, I didn't have to flip this over or anything. So this one will go there, and that one will go there. And when I lay this on that edge, that right there. Get closer. Okay, so when I line that up, if you take your time, okay, you have this edge and you have that spot right there. That is exactly where you're going to be stitching. That's exactly where you want your needle to start penetrating through. Then this will, after you get done stitching it, and you want to have all your raw edges even. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes when you flip this up, it's not going to be perfectly even across there, but that's okay because it'll be hidden in the seam allowance. Alright, so I've cut this out with my Tri-Rex ruler. Now, no different. I'm going to do the same with my paper template. The only difference on the paper template, you have a bunch of little bitty nodules to cut off at the tips. And all that does is it gives you ease when you go to press your piece. You don't have a bulk up of stuff. I'm just gonna, you don't have a bulk up at this spot right where all these seams come together. So I went around and I cut off those little bitty pieces of fabric. This is going to help you drastically when you go to press. It may seem like this is fussy, but really, it's not. So fabric is pretty much following all these little bitty spots. Okay, so we got that one cut out. And end, you're going to use a 2.5 inch strip. And I've wore this ruler out, y'all. This is my favorite ruler. The Folded Corners ruler by Doug Lico. Excellent ruler. Okay, so again, I'm going to mirror image my one cut, so it'll save you time for cutting out. You could probably do that as well with this. You could even pin this to the fabric and cut it out with scissors. All right. Alright, both pieces are trimmed in a mirror image of one another. I'm going to go ahead and sew this one first. Let me reposition the camera. Okay, so I sewed this once, and so this is the long edge. I had to rip it out because my seam allowance wasn't right. My long edge, so these are my long edges. And if you look, the flip side of this is going to be like this. You can't put it here, it's not the right size. So I'm going to line up my bottom edge. So when you look, I want to get that point right there lined up perfectly with the edge of the fabric. You can feed this into your machine however you want to feed it. This is going to be sewn on a scant 1/4 inch. So what helps me is I find the point on the fabric, and that's where I stitch. And again, this is the paper pieces that you use to cut out. I will also demonstrate how to sew the Tri-Rex. Okay. Alright. Again, that right there should be flat across. I had it probably scooted down just a tad, so I know my straight edge up here when I get done sewing this is not going to be perfect. So right there, that's lined up, ready to be put in there for stitching. I can see, let me turn on my light. Okay, hold my thread tails and stitch. The last time I stitched this block, I had to rip it out because my seam allowance was not set right. Your seam allowance is going to need or have to be a scant 1/4 inch. And this grew my block by 1/8 of an inch just by these two seams. That's how far off it was. Okay, so let's measure. Okay, there's my 2.5 inch line. Here's my 2.5 inch line. This piece is good. Is it perfect? No, but the imperfections are here on the corners and here at the top, and it's not going to show. That's going to be hidden in the seam allowance. So let's sew the one I cut with the Tri-Rex rulers, and you'll see a difference in dog ears. So notice There's no dog ear here to trim. If there's a dog ear here, that means that your seam allowance not right. Alright, so this is my top because I have a flat edge. That other one, you can't really tell that. This one lines up a whole lot better. So this edge right here on the Tri-Rex is the one you're going to want to line up on your raw edge. Let me turn on my light to get it lined up. Yeah, this one's more forgiving than the paper pattern, I will say. And incidentally, if you print out your paper pattern and you realize that this triangle does not measure 2.5 inches, you've got a setting wrong on your printer. I am not a tech guru by any means, so I do not know how to fix that. Alright, now if you look, your Tri-Rex, this tip doesn't get trimmed off, so you will have dog ears on your block that you make with your Tri-Rex. Okay, so is that right? Yeah. Again, down at the bottom, this is flat with this. And basically, because this is already, you can line it up with that piece if you wanted to. Turn the light on, get it in there. Let's see how I did. I'm gonna press it open. Alright. I have 3 dog ears that I'll need to trim. And notice how wonky it is. It's not perfect, but that will be hidden. So I'm going to trim this block down. Okay, so how to trim the block down if it's not perfect. You're going to take your 2.5 inch line and you're going to put your line on your fabric. And you're going to center it. So I have 2.5. So my 2.5 inch line, this line will, I want it to intersect exactly where that point is. I've got one side, it's not going to be exact, that's okay. Still not perfect, and I may have moved on my ruler. I may have moved, but all of this will be hidden in the seam allowance if I stitch these 2 blocks together. That edge will be hidden inside there. So that's how you use the paper templates provided. And each time we have something like this, I will put a download link for those paper templates. This was created by EQ8. That is how you do a triangle and a square. And I apologize, it did not turn out on my original video.